How do you write a song? Tell us about that process for you.
Um, most songs I let fuck man. Because the thing about me and music, I've been doing this for a while. So when I speak about it, the stuff I say may sometimes sound cliche, but I kind of the beat almost writes the track. I just vibe out to it. The beat is gonna tell me what it wants, where it wants it, and I add a little bit of me in there. But the most important thing for a track is getting the flow and getting the flow right, when to jump, when to leave, how to leave. And like I said, I've been writing for years, so the word part it just naturally comes in. It's not even an issue. Personally, I start with a chorus because that's the heart and soul of any song. For anybody that wasn't sure yet, start with the chorus. Make sure it's solid. That's the foundation. That's the part that people hear the most. First part they catch. So I usually
Mm.
start with that. If there's a pre-hook, I might go next into the pre-hook because that kind of prepares you for the chorus. And then the verse is just I tell the truth on whatever the topic is because once I have the hook down, I have the foundation. I know what I'm supposed to say on the verse, so it's easy to just get in there and tell the truth.
Yo, I relate heavy to that actually. That's a fucking interesting point because then it kind of structures your song. So like the way I've always looked at it is I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but the way I've always looked at it is like it sounds almost like an essay, and like in an essay you have your thesis statement, and then you had to like the arguments you're supposed to back up, and then like each of the. So I looked at it like the chorus is like your thesis statement, and your verses and shit are just like the arguments that you use to effectively back up your thesis statement, and
Yeah,
then
to further
everything else.
explain the purpose of the chorus.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot because I could tell that your songs are about shit, and it's cool that you were able to express that level of like stuff with us. But I like also the emphasis on the hook or the chorus, because it is really the part. And something I learned along the way is people really want to sing along, like fans, because
Yeah,
sometimes we get into this world, especially if you're always networking and dealing with artists and shit. Is you get into this world where you see like the 100 likes on Facebook, but you don't realize that 98 of those likes are like other rappers and engineers and video makers and shit. Like these are all your peers, right? These aren't necessarily your fans. And I'm not
yeah.
saying that they can't be your fans, right? Because a lot of times I'm fans of people. Like I'm a big fan of Merkur Miyagi's work, music. I'm a big fan of Sammy C's fucking freestyles and shit. I'm a big fan of just a bunch of different people's work, right? But then a lot of other people, it's just like, we peers, dog. Like we working together and shit, Like of course I'm liking your shit and commenting and being involved in this. This is like the
Yeah.
game. So what I realized about fans, which is different than your peers, is they want to sing to your shit, and all the fans were like, bro. When you go blah 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 blah, I can't sing along to that. I can't even understand a fucking word you're saying. And then I realized
Yeah.
rappers respected me for doing a certain thing, but fans didn't necessarily. When I say fans, I mean like the average person who might become a paying consumer of my music, a potential fan, I should say. They were like turned away by some of the more flossy shit I was trying to do.
Yeah. I guess uh, it was that audience. I guess that wasn't their cup of tea because that's the weird thing about music. There's a place for everything. I
Mm.
mean, there's a couple. I'll put it this way: I've heard a whole bunch of Montreal artists that deserve or should be higher up than some of the mainstream artists that I have heard that are mainstream. But it's just all about getting the right sound to the right audience to pick up. So it's like there's a place for it all.
I definitely feel that. I also feel like in a lot of ways, marketing yourself correctly to the right audience is key. And in a lot of
Facts.
ways, um, one of the things I think has been an issue was always finding peers in my lane, if it makes sense. Because there's a lot of people out there, right? And there's a lot of shows out there. But like, I'm an office worker, dude. If you in the trap, there's a good chance that like our crossover fan bases aren't like the same, Like, not to say that they're
Understood.
not, but like maybe like having a bunch of folk showing up looking scary to a bunch of other folk can be like not the best mix of shit. Like there's ways to mix shit. But I say
Yeah,
this because there's experiences I've had like in specific where I brought a bunch of colleagues in and then a fight breaks out. And then none of my colleagues wanted to
you're
come
not
back.
accustomed to that.
And so that's what I'm trying to convey. Like there are levels to the city, right? Like a lot of people see their immediate city, and then people try to throw these generalized shows where they mix all sorts of things together with no rhyme, no reason. And I find that that kind of like it doesn't make it that people really want to come to it. Is what I noticed.
Yeah,
Whereas, so I had a lot of trouble for a long time. COVID has been a blessing to me. The truth about COVID is it let a lot of people start interneting and a lot more people because back in the day if I would have been like Zoom call interview, people would have kind of laughed a little bit and been like, bro, no, I need that real life connection shit. But now it's like you kind of nobody has a choice, right? Like it's
that was
Zoom or
so
get the fuck out,
2020.
and it's just kind of what it is. So now we're here and everyone's zooming with me, but it got me to this point where I'm able to like really meet a lot of different people and kind of start to connect with a bunch of people that are more in my lane, so that when COVID ends we can start to like throw our little show and do that team shit that you were describing before, right? So that we can layer it down, because if there's one piece of advice I can give to anybody once COVID's done and the bars reopen in like 2023 or whatever, because I don't think that COVID's ending and the bars just reopen. That's gonna take fucking time to really happen. Unfortunately, there will be some, but anyway, it'll come back. But when it does, having squads like what you're describing, where you guys hold down a show, and then me and let's say I have my squad of people and we hold down a show. And yeah, we have crossover maybe. Like, we feature your guy one day, you feature our guy one day, and then they, like that. But mostly at the same show, the same people keep coming back so the motherfuckers can learn their songs. Cause we need the crowds to sing along and shit, right? If the crowds know your songs, they want to come back because they can sing along, vibe, and be part of the movement and shit. So I don't know, man. What do you think of the idea of shows having the same people performing over and over again over time?
Um, if you do it in a almost competitive way and you have them switch the tracks, because that's another thing. Yeah, you want the people to sing along, but you also don't want them to be bored. And what I mean is, you can end up having certain fans that come to the first show, and if they know it's gonna be the same lineup of artists performing the same exact thing in different clothes, they would rather stay home and Netflix, because I've seen that before. So it all depends. Each one has to have a significant difference to it to bring the fan in. It's like watching
Mm.
the same movie. You'll watch a different episode of the same series, but it's not the same thing to watch the same movie again, even if the people change clothes. So it's a good idea to get the people used to the same artists. It's definitely a great idea, but you're definitely gonna need to find a way to make the shows differ.
So my thought was headlines. So my guys handle. So first of all, I'm not into big sets. So I would have like 3, 4 openers max, right? Cause here's what I learned. Nobody wants to spend $10, $15 to watch me do 10 minutes, but they'll spend that money to watch me do 15 minutes. So I'm like, okay, 15, 20 minutes. That seems to be a reasonable amount of time to get somebody to want to actually come to a fucking place to watch me perform. That's just myself. Other people have different thresholds, but that's how my head was with it. So you do a 20 minute, a 20 minute, take a little weed break, 20 minute, 20 minute, take a little weed break, and then a headliner. So maybe the times change, but you get your regular guys or your not your openers, but yeah, kind of your openers. And then you get like a guest or whatever that comes through for your main event. But then when you have something big coming, like an album drop or whatever, that's when you guys do the headliner spots. That's when you got claiming at that point, and other people could do the opener. But that way, your peeps are constantly performing, right? But then it keeps
Yeah,
it fresh because there's always somebody new to fucking come through. That would be my first idea on that.
that could that could work. It has potential. The idea needs refining, but definitely has potential.
That's
Um,
fair.
it definitely does, because we do need shows, but I would say my first issue with shows is how do you get the crowd to stay? Because that's something I've noticed is a lot of the fans in Montreal
Oh,
come for their specific artist. And then
that's
when that artist leaves, you have four, five, six people leave with him, and it's like a rotation. So the artist that shows up at 9 o'clock has about five, six, eight people with him. He performs, say 10, 10:30. He leaves with his people. Then there's an artist that shows up at about 10:30, 11. He comes with a, so the room
mm.
hardly increases.
So here's I have an answer to that nobody's gonna like when they deal with me in the future, but fuck it, it'll be my show, so you deal with me or you don't perform, I guess. Um,
Fuck them.
but it's what it is, cause it's gonna be my show, my brand. It is what it is. But here's my problem. First of all, I gotta be at work at 9 in the morning. So fuck a show that starts at 11 p.m. on a Thursday. Now that doesn't mean there shouldn't be a show that starts at 11 p.m. on a Thursday. But I'm never gonna really go to that unless I'm on vacation because I gotta be at work at 9. So what? I'm gonna go for an hour, turn around and go home. I'm also smoking a lot of pot. I'm not driving anywhere. It's all public transit and shit, right? That's what it is. I'm not fucking spending no Uber money. That's not happening. I'm not rich like that. That's just the realities of my life. But what I'm also describing is the realities of a lot of people's lives. So I'm going, where's the 7 o'clock show? Where is it? It's just I went to one. It had people and they all stayed. It was this one show. It was a bunch of ladies. It was at 7, and the crowd never left. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? This is weird. And everybody stayed to the end of the show and went home. And I was tripping a little bit. But they also had sound check. And I'm like, no shit, sound check. The fucking thing that does. Because here's the thing. Any show I've ever been to I performed like 60s, a bunch of shits like that. Very little sound check. But anytime there was sound check, you got to be there like an hour before the show starts, or you can't do sound check. And if you're not willing to show up for sound check, you don't want to perform at the show. That's the truth of the situation. And I think there's this attitude in culture that is artist centric with these shows, as in people worry about when the artist can come. And I'm not going to care when the artist can come. If you are doing a show, you are committing to staying to the show. You're performing. You got to be there. You got to turn it. It's part of the job of being at a show as an artist. So I think the truth is artists don't do their due diligence. Dude, when I go to shows, man, I pull out my phone. I start going live on Facebook. I try to promote the fact that there's fucking music happening in the city because I'm an artist and I'm trying to big up the fucking scene with myself. And I'm not bullshitting. People have seen me filming shit at shows a lot in the past. If you've seen me there. Maybe not. I don't fucking know. But like the fact is there's like ways you could like approach that. But instead artists go there with their posse and they act like, yo, I just gotta show up at like, whatever, 9 o'clock. Well, if you only wanna show up at 9, why there's hungry people, dude. I'll just find people that are willing to come for sound check and stick around the whole show. And then those are the people I'll fuck with. And I guess that's how it's gonna work. The second somebody look, if somebody legitimately has reasons, like listen, when I booked my show, there were people who were like, I gotta work until 9, I'll be there by this time, I'll make it happen by this time. And if somebody wants to arrange with me ahead of time because of real life circumstances that they have a shit and they need to be, like I will accept that, right? I don't wanna like close off the door. But if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, I'm just rolling on through with my homies at 9, I mean, I don't get that. It's a show. Your job is to like be. Aren't you? Shouldn't you be there with like a bunch of merch trying to sell shit to everybody walking through the door?
Well,
That's how.
yeah, but I don't know. It's one of those situations where opposite sides could be right, because you also have to look at it from the artist's point of view, in which case they spent money on the song, they spent money to record, they spent money on it, and they're coming to record, they're coming to perform it for free. They're giving, that's another issue. Most of these
Okay,
artists
I
are not
accept.
getting paid.
You're saying a big
So he
thing here.
doesn't make, I can understand the artist not wanting to come at and spending another, after he spent all that money and he's performing for free, spend 5, 6 hours there
Yo,
doing
that
nothing.
is that is a really good fucking answer. I like that answer. That is the first time somebody's given me an answer that fucking shut me up for a second, because that's good.
I does
So
that.
I appreciate what you're saying, because you're right. Promoters don't really pay rappers, and 7 hours, let's say, is a lot of time to just dedicate to a cause. The truth
After
is,
the amount spent.
you're right. Um, okay, I accept what you're saying is a valid reason to not want to spend it there. But at the same time, fine. I don't know how much an artist is worth, but I know nobody has the money to pay people what they're worth right now. So I
What?
don't know. Let's say a promotion scene happens and people take a little bit of an underpayment for a minute and then play the game so that they one day can get the proper payment. If people did that for a minute and then played the game properly, knowing money's coming down the line, it could turn into something where like everybody's getting paid at every show.
Yeah, but it's like you said earlier. It's like artists is not even asking producers for beats. No one has even spoken to the other
Mm.
person about it.
But
The
that's
artists that are certified to get paid have their rates, and they get paid. And just like Hollywood, if you have yet to reach that certification, you don't get paid. But no one has ever spoken or tried to negotiate. Well, okay, you're a lesser artist, you get this, you get that, to justify why an artist should come and spend 7+ hours.
oh.
Plus, you also have to look at the image of it. If we're talking, these are image is a heavy part of rap, right? Like, let's just be realistic. So you're spending 6 hours in a club at the bar with what? The same bottle in your hand? That's money you have to spend. That's people you
Woo.
have to entertain. The scene, the image has to still be maintained. So you can't, so you have to look at it like that. So I'm a rapper, I have the image to
No, I hear
maintain. I
you.
spent all that money. I spend 7 hours, and during that 7 hours, I have to spend another 4 or 5 bills, and I got paid $0 to be here.
Bro, I really love what you're saying now because I can empathize heavy with that. When I go to an event, I'm gonna have to probably spend about $50 to $100 in weed
It's
alone,
charging,
depending on
bitch.
it.
Yeah.
Because like I'm just gonna smoke that much. I'm gonna be out. It's this, that, the next thing. But I really like what you're saying. Part of it is because like what we're trying to do with this show is have conversations like this, so that people can see other sides of the coin, honestly, and understand some shit. Like my motto is kind of based a little bit around that idea of having a regular crew and then maybe only having to pay one guy. So I can afford to pay that guy $300 or whatever. If that guy's gonna take
Yeah.
three, I can't afford more than that. Maybe I can afford 3 bills for a show. That's what it is, man. I'm gonna fucking play it up to what I can. I mean, shit, we'll stream it live to Twitch. Maybe that counts for something. Uh, but at the end of the day, let's hypothetically say 300 is an acceptable amount of money. So then I don't have to pay the other guys because they're squad and we want to be there. And then it's really just
Yeah.
paying one guy. So in my way, that would become a sustainable model because I agree with you. With everything you're saying, paying people is really important to me in a weird way. It kind of changed a lot for me. I realized that what a boss is a person who pays people. So if you're supposed to be in this hip hop game, we're supposed to be bossing the fuck up. That's the truth of the matter. I might not boss up like how you boss up, and I might not do it the same way that you do it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, bossing up has a certain, it matters, right? So, I mean, I like what you're saying about this time commitment thing because I don't think a lot of the promoter people, a lot of the other people actually sit there and consider what you're actually describing about maintaining an image. That shit was fucking ridiculous. That shit was like an extra layer that I never even thought about, like, because I don't really drink. So there's no
Yeah.
part of my image that's bottles at a club or sitting there like that, right? But if that's actually something that you have to do because of
No.
the role that you're playing,
Yo, could you imagine? You just got on stage, rapped about me and my boys. We trap, we pop bottles in the club, and then you and your boys go sit down and grab a couple beers. Like that's not working, bro. That's not working. And to spend the money just to keep the image is not smart neither.
right. So then it comes
So
down to making sure that it's a worthwhile investment of time. Now, personally, I don't really think I'm going to do a lot of free performances in my life just because of where I'm at with my life. And I agree, time is an investment. When you said 7 hours, I'm like, holy shit, that's, bro, I'm not doing that either. I'm like, I totally get what you're saying. It makes all the sense in the world. But I don't know what the right rate is. I know that the scene needs a decent rate that turns into a better rate, but I really appreciate what you're saying because basically I hope to make a clip out of this and have it be like, yo, why it matters to pay your artists. Like, you know, like something like that, right? Like, that's what I hope we get out of this because, dude, what you just dropped is some fucking knowledge nuggets to the whole fucking all of us, even myself. I'm sitting there going, yo, of everything we talked about, that may be the most profound thing that we talked about so far because, yo, a lot of people I know never think what you just said. They never think about what you just said. They complain about a lot of things, but they don't think about what you just said. How much money it costs an artist just to even show up at the fucking event and do a thing.